Hey, yo, what's going on, guys? We've got episode number 40 of Marvel Yap today. We're going to be talking about the Thanos meta, as well as the new X-Men little mission slash campaign we got going on here in Marvel Snap, as well as talking about some decks you guys can use in that to be able to optimize to make sure we all can get some of those amazing rewards. And then we're going to also be talking about some of these unforgettable, or may I say super forgettable cards that have kind of just fallen out of the meta or just aren't good, and some potential changes we've thought of for these cards. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, we are joined by the beautiful mustache man himself, hostess with the mostest, aka Not My Dance. How are we doing today, Dance?
I'm doing absolutely great. It's been, I'm just enjoying Snap. It's just a fun game. You know what? They've released 2 new cards that are both fun. They're both super interesting. And there's a lot of good stuff happening in the game. There's, there may be a lot of a certain purple individual between us, but I'm really having a blast. I don't know. How about you? What's going on?
So, I think maybe last season's the first week of Snap wasn't the most fun necessarily, but like you said, I feel like it's been a minute, maybe it hasn't. I think so. Last month was April, and that was the Captain Carter Goliath. Before Captain Carter, it was Agamotto, right? Was it yes. Agamotto? And then before that, it was Sam Wilson. In April, right?
Sam, then Iron.
No, and then Iron Patriot was January, right?
Sam, Iron Patriot.
It was Iron Patriot, Sam.
Well, no, because we have this month is Esme. Last month, April is Captain Carter.
Yep.
Before that, March. March Agamotto. February, Sam. January, Iron Patriot. Then December, Galacta. So yeah, that's correct. All the stuff.
So since January, this maybe is a hot take, there has not been a better or a more fun first week of Snap since January, because both cards that released are genuinely fun, make some new decks, and feel playable.
I honestly feel like the week that we got all 3, or I guess first week, the first month, this is the best first week. I was going to say, I just really like the Hydra Stomper week.
Well, I mean, Hydra Stomper week was good, but that was end of last season.
Yeah. Was the criteria at the beginning of season?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. First week of the season. That's what I'm saying.
I'll agree with you. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. No, this has been a really solid week of the season. Does it feel like, especially considering how much Surge has been in a lot of decks, Surge kind of feels like it is season pass vibes a bit based off of how plug and playable it is?
Yes, Surge is season pass vibes, but Surge is not overpowered and is not a broken card. I think Surge is just a great card.
I think Surge, I don't want Surge to be busted. I could easily see her going to 2-1. I'm going to be honest, just because of the amount of stuff that she can do. But at the same time, she really does. She feels like so much fun. She really does feel like she unlocks a lot of different things. And also, I don't think people are playing her well in a lot of the lists that she is in. I don't think she needs to be in those lists. She's just a nice card to have. Yep. So but that's not me even saying anything. Nothing against her. She's a lot of fun. I really like the card. It's really interesting. It's really cool, and I want more stuff like that. Give me more stuff like Surge. Give me more things, and we're gonna be seeing a lot more of Surge in the next few weeks. Not just because of the new cardness, because of the first of our topics today.
Yeah, the topics we have for today, by the way, are going to be the brand new X-Men bounty that we have that I think lasts 2 weeks. It goes through 2 different spotlight cards, or I guess snap pack cards when it comes to Prodigy and Elixirs weeks. So that's what you got to keep in mind, with 2 brand new variants, one for Wolverine and one for Gambit, as well as 500 credits. And I think a mystery card, like a mystery variant, and I think it's a mystery premium mystery of Border.
I think that's correct. I can pull it up here in a second.
And
but
top end,
there's also the biggest thing, which is they phrased it in a way that they said they weren't certain it was going to happen, but if it does, that's really cool. What is it? Potentially getting. For everyone getting a free Collector's Series 5 Snap Pack.
Which would be absolutely massive. Which, by the way, What were you gonna say, Dan?
I was gonna say, assuming it was gonna work, right? Considering they tried to gift them before.
We at least got tokens last time. To be fair, we did.
No, which is better. And if we don't get it, I'll just take tokens, right? That's fine.
Which I think we will because we're collection complete.
Yes, we will. But the amount of exact wins for what it's worth, it's 5 million wins for 500 credits, 8 million wins for a mystery border, 10 million wins for a premium mystery variant, 15 million wins for the exclusive Wolverine variant, 25 million wins for the exclusive Gambit variant, and then as they even specify it as a stretch goal, tier 6 for 40 million wins using getting that Collector's Series 5 snap pack. And right, and so all that counts for is that there's a set of cards, we'll talk about all of them in a second, a set of cards that if you use them in the deck that you're doing, I think it's for each card that you have in that deck, if you win with it, you get you count as one of the wins with that card. So if you, they said that the more of the bounty cards that you use in your deck, the more progress your wins contribute. So we're going to talk here because in total there are 11 cards. 2 of them still aren't in the game yet, but there are in total 11 different cards. And if you have, let's imagine right now, all 9 of them in the game, you can, every single time you win with that pile of 9 cards, which probably wouldn't be a good deck, but if you tried it, you would get 9 points toward that in comparison just to the 1. And that's within a 2-week period. It's really solid stuff here.
Yeah, I think, well, I hate to say it, okay? But if you guys do want to min-max and potentially get the most wins or most points with a single win possible, if you do play Arishem, you might be able to actually win with a deck with all these random cards because Arishem will generate better cards for you, which I'm not saying you should. Of course, it's Arishem, but that could be a way to do it. And if you are going to try and do that and just be that guy, do it on Proving Grounds and don't tank your rank or anything, too. Just do it on Proving Grounds.
Did it work in Conquest last time? I thought the last time they did it, it did work, including Proving Grounds.
I think it...
Okay, for some reason I thought it didn't.
Maybe it didn't include Proving Grounds, but it did work at least in Conquest last time.
Fair enough. I think there's actual decks that are gonna be potentially even better for getting legitimate wins with. I know one in mind if we're looking at this.
In one. Is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, true. You can put all 11 cards in one because then the 12th card is Arishem. Yes, technically that can work. But if we're talking about legitimate, I've got ideas, but that's not even our only subject today. We're going to start off talking about all these cards and what we want to potentially, or what we're thinking, at least initially, of using with them, whether or not it's just a staple card or just our favorite places to use said card. We're then going to go into just talking about the meta and this purple nutsack boy between us. Because he's been a lot of places in the meta, but the meta is a lot more interesting than just talking about him. And we've got some particular things that we think about, especially Purple Boy in between us here as well. And we're going to end it off talking about the cards who aren't played. We talk about them oftentimes when we want to talk about things we want to buff inside of OTAs, but we're not getting those. So we're just going to conversationally discuss the lowest played cards. I don't know how that sentence was going. Sorry.
Converse was perfect. I think you're trying to say
it was
converse
perfect.
And conversate. I think you're trying to say
I definitely was. I definitely was.
But in case you guys did not know the cards listed, the 2 cards that are not out just yet, one of them does release today, is Prodigy. We don't have a set meta Prodigy deck. We, of course, have 2 Prodigy decks that we will go over here on the Yap itself. But then Elixir will also be releasing next week, which is part of the 11 cards. But the very first card that is included in this X-Men little excursion or X-Men mission that we have is going to be the good old X-23.
And it's specifically the new X-Men. Now, I don't know much about the new X-Men versus the old X-Men, but apparently these aren't the boomers, is what I can take from it, right? Right? Like, they're calling... I mean, to be fair, Professor X is a bit of a boomer. Is Colossus... is Storm a boomer now?
I guess technically they would be boomers. But I also want to say sidebar. I do really like that we are having events like this once again, because I think that really just added levels to Snap. Like, I remember last year we had, or maybe it wasn't last year, but the year before, we had the Valentine's Day OTA, where, like, if you played these two couple cards, they got +2 power. We also had Avengers versus X-Men season, where there was times where they had an overtune buff, and then there was another season where we had a grouping of playing the cards together, and you got points. So I'm really glad we're getting this again.
Yeah, there was one before, right, where, oh god, what was the thing? It was in everyone got null in X23, right? Wasn't it that?
Yes.
I don't remember when
that I think was just playing games. I don't think you had to have specific cards in your deck, or did you have to have specific cards?
I don't remember for the life
but that was a couple months ago as well, or a few months ago, before they did the series drops, and they dropped X23 to Series 4 and null to Series 3.
True. That is, yeah, it was before then as well. I'm trying to see if I can find the specific details on that, but I can't for some reason. But it was, it was this null. It was the null and what's her face? Yeah, X23 things here. But speaking of, right, this is, if you're going to talk about X23, a good deck to put her in. Destroy, right? This is, and especially if you're wanting like a friendly or early game one. It also has another of these cards that are specifically mentioned as the new X-Men start part of the bounties here. We'll brush up on him whenever, but that just feels like one of the best places potentially to be talking and playing with X23, right?
Yeah, with X23, there's at least 2 cards in that list, which we'll talk about. One of the goats himself here in a couple cards. They can go hand in hand, so if you want to get wins that count as 2 instead of just 1 for one of the cards in the list, that'll be a card that will work well there. The next card we do actually have for the X-Men bounty is going to be Pixie.
Such a fun one.
Which is a very fun card, and Mobius is not being played a lot right now. Mobius is being played a lot right now. Pixie.
But if you're looking for an excuse to use him,
true.
He is right. But yes, he is being played a lot. But at the same time, if you just want to join everyone else with it, right? He is just a good card to use with Pixie. So just that null Mobius, Pixie Mobius combo there that's simple in a lot of lists. What's your favorite like Pixie shell that you've gone with? I've got mine. I know mine off my heart.
Ever?
Sure, ever. What are you recommending for others if they're trying to figure out a Pixie cook?
Oh, okay. What I'm recommending for others is gonna be something more like a Clog style Pixie list. Clog or Affliction was what I would do with Pixie.
Sure.
My overall favorite ever is High-Evo Pixie. I'm
not even recommending High-Evo Pixie. I don't even care. Like, I will recommend High-Evo Pixie. I think it's just a fun deck. Honestly, right? I just think it's a lot. I think it's a very enjoyable pile of cards. And even if you do get a little bit screwed over by Mobius for specifically probably She-Hulk, I think it's still good.
Yeah, I mean, I played it in like a tournament and didn't do amazing with it, but I had fun the entire time because beating people with High-Evo Pixie is just a fun thing. Like, they're playing more legit decks, and you're like, boom, and they're like, what the heck just happened? Like, it is very fun. You get the real feels good with Pixie. I just really wish this card was a 1 cost.
I would love it. I don't know if they ever would, but I would love it if they did that so much.
But the next card, I think, this card you can play in almost any deck, because people are playing this card in almost.
Before you do that, sorry, I was trying to find this whole time. I kid you not. In terms of bounty cards, actually, the previous one that was in February, they actually had that limited as like you had to use either Iron Page, like it was limited for the types of cards you had to use that. I didn't realize that. So if they continue to do stuff like this, where that one was when they gave everyone X23 and null, but if they do that again here, and then that's like a thing that they continue to go again in the future, this is a really fun style of bounty that I really enjoy. Sorry, I didn't mean to fully cut you off from the next one. I found that. I spent that whole time trying to find that bit.
No, that's a good note. I appreciate you shouting that, because we all know who this card is, and we're all playing this card. You know why? Spoiler alert! It's in 50% of decks right now. Spoiler!
It's in just a few places. Just a few. She's so much fun.
Man. I mean, it's just
right. Like
easy.
So good.
It's easy to play. I mean, you of course.
Yeah.
I still think, in order to maximize this card, you kind of have to have the perfect curve. But you can still have a lot of really good conditions for this card to be able to make it perform incredibly well. And it's a 2-drop. You can just play on 2 and just benefit pretty much. Even if there is a Mobius, you're still getting that +1 on your cards that get hit by Surge. So it still is really solid. Of course, Red Guardian. Oh no, I got Red Guardian, so I can't do this multiple times, but I still hit 1 card at least. So like this card, what are you playing in Surge and Notmydance?
I've been going, my main 2 have been Surfer and Bounce.
Okay. Surfer and Bounce.
Those have been my number 1 and my number 2. I've been really enjoying both of those. But what you been touching? What you been doing?
So I've been playing 4 different renditions of Small Ball Havoc, and it really just depends on my pocket meta. So I'll swap out the top end of that deck, which is like your 3-cost cards. So in some iterations, I'm running Cosmo. If I'm not facing a lot of Honor Reveal, I'm doing Affliction, I switch to Luke Cage. If I'm not facing Affliction and I'm facing more Energy Cheat, I switch over to the Mobius version. And then I have Juggernaut in almost all of them as well. And then sometimes I just fluctuate between the 3 costs. It really just depends. But Small Ball Athena Havoc has felt absolutely incredible.
I've
Surge,
always known that list as like I'm just saying as well, because I've never heard of Small Ball until Tucker told me he calls it that, or it was called that somewhere. I've always heard it as Bass Spice Rack. So if you hear both versions, just as a clarification for that, because I did not know the difference.
Yeah.
Or I didn't know what one of them was.
They call it Small Ball just because it's small, and Bast also Spice Rack because you're using Bast or you're using Agent Venom to get your cards to 3 power. So like that's why they kind of have that play on it. But Surge you're using in that list as kind of another just enabler. Since your top end is 3-cost cards, you're playing Havoc more than likely down on turn 5, sometimes earlier depending on what your hand is looking like. And because you have Surge, you're able to play a 2-3 costs on turn 6 like you would with Surfer. But one of them most of the time, or if you get lucky too, is going to be a 2-cost. So you can play like a Juggernaut Sage, or you can play a Juggernaut Cosmo, and you're able to do that because you're only trying to play 2 cards each turn because you're playing Athena. But it's a nice way to kind of just optimize that list even more now. It took over the Adam Warlock slot, which it's a sad day. Which I've also swapped out even just Adam Warlock for like another just 3-cost in there, whether it is like the Mobius or the Cosmo. It just really depends on what you're into. But like Adam Warlock has also won me games even with the Surge style shell too, because if he gets extra power and then he continues to scale, which is really nice, he creeps up. But yeah, that's what you got with Surge. You can do Small Ball, you can do Surfer, you can do Thanos, you can do token stuff.
I don't think you can really go Thanos as easily. That one's been more awkward. I mean, you can do Thanos because Thanos just has a lot of pieces that still work, but I don't think Surge is good in Thanos. I think those are 2 different things there.
That's the thing though. Like people are playing Surge in ill-optimized spots. So I wanted to mention people are playing Surge, but like on your turn 2, are you going to play a Surge? Are you going to play a Strange Supreme? Or are you going to play out 2 of your stones? And my bet would be you would go probably Strange Supreme and then 2 of your stones, and then Surge would be your 3rd option of the 2 or of the 3. It just really depends on board space.
In your Spice Rack or Small Ball, when you have Agent Venom and Surge on turn 2, what do you play?
Agent Venom.
Yeah, I get that. I think I've done both. I don't know why. I just sometimes go off 5s. I feel like sometimes I also then prefer it. It depends actually. No, if I have a lot of if I'm talking about my bounce one in particular, because I still use Agent Venom in the bounce. But if I have a lot of my higher cost cards in hand, then I'll actually go then I will go Surge first, so then I can play Agent Venom and Surge the following turn, or and the Surge card, whatever, the following turn, and try to meta game or min max that specific ways, depending on what I actually want to get buffed or not. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of Surge is really cool. Surge is a lot of fun. I don't like the way that it says after you play repeat this ability. I wish that was above the on reveal. Or just separated even slightly more, just so that it didn't feel like it was part of the same on reveal. I don't know.
Or if you put it in parentheses.
Yeah, like the way they've done all the banish, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
even just that bit. And also, I think it should be, after you play it, repeat this on reveal, not this ability.
Yes, I think that would be a great.
I really like her.
Mhm.
But I'm nitpicking here about these specific pieces. But yeah, she's a really fun card. You honestly, as much we're talking about, playing it in optimized decks, you could play her in many, many unoptimized decks and have a great time with her still.
Yeah, you totally. She's not so like in some decks she might be like you have to have this card, but it's kind of crazy. But I don't think you have to have Surge. It just enables you to do more. But
I don't think she is a must-have in any deck that she's in, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I love that bit when it's like, yeah, good card, just not must-have.
Mm-hmm. She adds a lot of value, yes, but it's not like you can't play this deck because you don't have Surge.
Yeah, exactly.
But moving on over to the next card over here, you guys may know who this card is. We got the good old Wolverine, another just destroy card. You could potentially play him in discard, but I think you're really just going to play him with X23 in destroy, and just profit there.
Yeah, there's a small chance you could play him inside of discard. I honestly think if you're specifically going for the bounty, there's another discard card we'll have here in a little bit. If you did that, honestly, I'd prefer X23 there even, because then you get the extra energy.
Mm-hmm.
Where otherwise, this is only a 2/5, and I'd much rather ramp stuff out more, or at least get an extra energy with it in mind.
Yeah.
So,
just Wolverine,
right, simple.
Next, we have the poor man Sage.
So is this going to be Mr. Negative?
Yeah, you just play Mr. Negative with Wolfsbane. I mean, I guess you could play Surfer, or you could even play Small Ball if you don't have Sage. But
yeah,
definitely more of a Wong Mr. Negative style card, I would say.
Mm-hmm. I'm on. So as much as I'm like, it's a joke, right? Wolfsbane here. I really hope that we actually see her get played. Make the card somewhat better to play. I don't know, but we're way past the meta. I feel like where we don't have a lot of cards on either side of the board. We keep having more and more of those now that Sage gives you more value. And yes, you might be thinking like, okay, well, Wolfsbane should give you more value there as well. She doesn't. I feel like we've said we're in terms of forgotten cards. This is one, I think. This one, I feel like we've said this forever ago. This should be a 3-0 plus. 3-0 plus 3, is that still crazy here? Is that just like the definition of power creep?
So like, I was gonna even just say, still 3-1 plus 3.
That feels. It already gets to 12, or it actually only gets to 3-9.
I mean, it would go to 3-10.
Okay, sorry, 3-9 if it's 0, 3-10 if it's that. Hey, you know what? Probably still could. Yeah.
Wolfsbane.
It doesn't. Here's the thing, though. What is it? It's still, if you depending on like a lot more board states, I feel like it still does a worse job scaling than Sage does.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Sage, at least with this, like you're gonna be like close to almost a guaranteed 10 power with Wolfsbane, whereas Sage you have to do all the calculations and stuff and all that too. So Sage would be harder to meet the conditions to hit 10 power if you just put them next to each other, but maybe it is 3-9 instead, so it's not just like, oh, you play, or like 3-0 instead of 3-1. But that's, you need to do Mr.
But also,
Negative stuff.
the 3-1 puts it into Shang-Chi range, which they've said in the past it doesn't actually make a big difference, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, anyway, this is a preview for the final segment. We're just talking about what we want to get changed in these other cards. But like, yeah. This is what I was saying with X23 though. Like, if you really want to put two of these cards in the same deck that maybe doesn't fit the best, Gambit works in a lot of discard shells. Even though I really think he's one of the more anti-fun cards, considering it's just pure random. But even with that in mind, I feel like if you want to be running this, you're gonna get. I think X23 is not the craziest copium.
And Tempo Gambit is still pretty good sometimes to offset your opponent's combos. Also, if you are playing the Bullseye version of discard as well with Gambit, Bullseye does hit X23 because X23 is a 1 cost.
True.
So, you would
That
get that
copium, it's amazing. It's even better value. Well, then no, you can't even activate Bullseye on the final turn. That doesn't even help you. It's actually pretty. It still sucks.
No, I mean, so you would activate Bullseye still. The Gambit would have as your alternate line in that deck, you know?
Okay.
But guys, we might see
prefer Moon Knight
some
over
Gambit.
Gambits.
Really? In the same.
Legitimately any deck that I feel like it typically has Gambit, I put Moon Knight there instead. Because I don't like how random it is on my cards. And then I like messing with their hand a little bit more because then I get to find more information.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting take there.
Also, I love hitting a Thanos.
That's true.
Before it's even on the board.
As long as they don't have Soulstone.
And then they never do, as long as I cross my eyes and toes and fingers. In that order. But Gambit, I mean, you just use it in any discard shell.
Discard, or you go Gambit Cannon and you have Exodia. But next we do have Esme. What are your thoughts on Esme, Dance?
I think she's perfectly fine. I've got no issues with her. I've heard people say that they want her to go like 2-3 or something like that. I don't think she needs it. I heard that, right? I don't think she needs it. They were like, this card doesn't feel strong enough for a season pass card. I don't think it needs to be busted for a season pass card. This just feels like it's different, and I like it. Like I've been using this card inside of shells that are just trying to like cheat out cards early, get an extra 3-cost card. Just like I don't know, it's just a generic good card. I think it's not even good in the same way Surge is, but it's fine. I've got no issues with Esme in the slightest.
Yeah, I think this card's getting a little overshadowed by Surge, because I really like this card. I think I've seen arguments also for her to be 3-5, which like if she's not performing the way Second Dinner wants her to perform, I think they would change her to a 3-5 before they make her a 2-3. But I think she's actually a pretty good card, and I think like some people are just running her in the wrong shells. And I think that's the other thing too. Like, she does work well in Mr. Negative. I've heard some people say like, I don't like her in Mr. Negative. She doesn't help me. But like, Mr. Negative win rate is actually better with Esme in the deck to be able to reach some of these cards, because it's a less feels bad if you don't hit your Mr. Negative. And which is crazy, because we were looking at these stats the other day. They may have changed since then, but Mr. Negative was at a 55% win rate.
Dang.
Which is crazy for
good.
Mr. Negative.
But I think you're correct though, right? Like, yes, that she does not specifically work when she doesn't help if she is Mr. Negative, but just giving you more consistency is still. Ravonna doesn't work with your negative cards either,
right?
But it still helps.
Yep.
And I've now created a paradox in which gamers everywhere are now confused. Wait, I'm sorry, my card is not perfect in every single scenario. No, cards can fluctuate. Cards are not always. Here's the thing that you've never realized before in Mr. Negative, right? You don't want your Jane Foster to get hit, but it still is helpful.
Yep.
It's crazy, I know.
But I hit Infinite with an Esme Surge Cook, which I think Esme actually helped me even more out than Surge did in the list, because the targets for Esme I had 3 targets it was Iron Man, Darkhawk, and Gore. And those are just amazing feels good targets. Even hitting a Mystique going to a 3-4 or having 2 additional Mystiques or having an additional Mystiques felt good. Hitting a Cosmo to have a Cosmo to be able to play out early too. Like, the way you're playing Esme, which like I've seen people play her in Surfer, I don't think Surfer is the right home for Esme. Yes, that extra power feels good, or potentially hitting like an extra Surfer is nice, but you kind of got to be a bit greedier when it comes to Esme, or trying, like we're talking about, hitting Mr. Negative-esque cards. So like having Esme to be able to hit a Sage, or having Esme to be able to hit the Iron Man. Even like a Claw is not bad. A 3-4 Claw is pretty good. So it's just very interesting, and I think it was like the Mr. Negative-esque cards, it's the same thing with an Agent Venom. Like, you want to be able to hit those cards and get that extra boost of power, because they're good already without having extra power, which is why they have 0 power initially, because their abilities normally are good. So whenever you give it the extra benefit, that's when it really can just kind of snowball.
So I agreed with you initially that I thought this wasn't going to be a good Surfer card. However, Esme Surfer took me to Infinite.
Was Esme the main reason you hit Infinite, though?
Esme was definitely part of the reason. I had Surge in there as well, but I'm going to be honest with you, The games where I got an Esmade Galacta or an Esmade Sarah, and then I got Esmade Makari, Esmade Captain Carter, Brood, Sage. I had, oh my gosh, I got them with a double Negasonic and a game. Like there were enough pieces. I agreed with you, and I said this, and I was like, there's 100% best, or even just double Surf. I had double Surfer. Sorry, I said that it wasn't gonna be the best, and I thought that was correct. I had a 65% win rate with Esme Surfer pushing Infinite. So it was, I could be entirely coping in that whole thing, but at the same time, I really enjoyed it. I felt like it actually did a lot better than I expected. And so the shots that I took at Esme Surfer, I will take them back. I understand you not taking yours. That's fine. I had a much better time with this card inside of Surfer than I expected to.
And like the top end hitting your Galacta or hitting a Sarah to get them out early is a feels good.
Yeah, and Brood, like I said as well, like that's just an extra 6 power on the board. Captain Carter was an extra 6 power on the board. And was it? Oh, I got double Makari sometimes. Like I don't know.
Which Makari is like great hit for Esme as well.
Yeah, there were just enough cards. Oh, and I had double. Sorry, enough times where I literally had every single one of my cards hit. Actually, no, I didn't have Sage hit. And Luna Snow wasn't great either. There you go. That's 2 that weren't great. But other than like literally,
Esme
I had
and Luna.
Yeah, I had Esme Luna as my 2 like rampers and Surge, I guess. So Esme Luna and Surge as like all pseudo rampers, as well as Galacta and Sarah as the only top end. Everything else was 3 cost.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
I might send you the list after this, but it did better than I expected. So I think Esme's a lot of fun. I think she's really cool. I'm happy with her. And I don't know, we'll have to wait as more time goes on to see how she actually is. But I think that you want her typically in a list where you're either trying to get, you want to cheat some stuff out, right? It's similar to like to an Anti-Venom, similar to like a Jubilee, similar to, or it's even an alternate.
Anti-Venom and I think is the better shout because you don't necessarily want your opponent to know what you drew, opposed to the Jubilee. Jubilee, yes, is the deck thinning and it does get the card onto the board, but I think the snap condition is the unknown that your opponent doesn't know.
Yeah, that's a really good shout there too. So there's a lot of stuff with Esme. I don't think she's good in that a small ball list. I actually would say that I think she's done a lot worse. Yeah, you've removed her from that one.
I don't play her in small ball.
Okay, yeah. But there's been a lot of other really, I think, fun stuff with her that I've been enjoying. It's a lot of the stuff where you want to cheat. I had a deck where I had Anti-Venom, Luke, and then I had Gore, Iron Man, and like a Red Hulk as like top end. That's some of the most fun I've played. And I suck at the list. I know people have done better at it. But
now, the Luke Cage Esme is a very good shout, too, because it's like the Agent Venom-esque, and I think that's the perfect comparison. Except, of course, she adds a copy, but Agent Venom, or Anti-Venom, sorry, sets the card to 0/0, so you can just play it out, and then you have the Luke Cage kind of, if you have a Red Hulk, it's a 3/4 Red Hulk in your hand, but when you play it on the board of the Luke Cage, it's a 3/10, which, Starbrand is a 3/10, but has a downside, whereas Red Hulk doesn't have a downside in that sense. So.
And, I would play, I throw Red Hulk on the board, and then I play Luke final turn.
Yep.
So at that whole time, it's a tiny little boy, tiny little angry little fatty, yeah. Anyway, and then final turn, you throw Luke there, and then all of a sudden, he starts hulking out. It feels so. Anyway, Esme's a lot of fun. I think she's a really solid card. I have no issues with her personally. I think she's well balanced. I feel like she's also just is overshadowed by Surge being able to be in terms of more plug and playable.
Yeah, this card is definitely overshadowed by Surge, and this card indefinitely overshadows White Queen.
Sorry, who is this? Is this in the game? Is when did White Queen get added?
Oh, this card. So this is also one of the other cards included in the X-Men missions, which I guess if you want to do Quinjet stuff, you can have White Queen in this, or just in Arishem. Because you have the extra energy, you can have your White Queen to be able to potentially play your opponent's top end before they can play it out. But this is just still like a feels bad card at the moment. And like Esme really, I think, because she's a clone of White Queen, which like, look, they're pretty much doing the inverse of.
Is she actually? I thought she was like quintuplets. I thought that's how it worked.
But they're like, I think they're like clones of White Queen though, or something.
Oh, really? I didn't know any. I don't know this stuff.
I mean, it feels bad.
This is the one out of all the cards, right? We can stretch for even Wolfsbane and be like, you can run this in negative. This one,
yeah.
I don't know what you're doing with this guy. White Queen, I don't feel like there's anything you can really do with her. I've tried. And first word, I even tried with Esme, by the way, using that like Quinjet stuff. Didn't work there, by the way. And White Queen being a worse version of Esme means that it probably would just also not work. I don't know. This is one that if I'm looking at White Queen and be like, okay, how we gonna mess with this card? I'm not. I have a buddy I know who refuses to stop running White Queen just because he's in love with her variant. That's legitimately the only reason he runs it. And he runs it so much. And I'm like, how's this deck doing? He's like, it's okay. It'd be better if I took out White Queen.
The copium.
Every time.
Goodness. So like this card, no.
Yeah, he knows it. And if y'all find an amazing White Queen deck that we don't know about, let us drop it in the comments of the video because we'd be shocked. Extremely so. Because it's not a good card.
Yeah, no. So we're going to go ahead and say go past that. And then the next card is going to be Rock Slide, which, by the way, something very interesting with Rock Slide. Rock Slide I've actually seen have an increase in play right now because of Esme. Esme has helped with Rock Slide. Of course, Zabu is still very prominent as well. But there's like an Esme Darkhawk shell that is actually doing, besides the one we used, or I used to hit Infinite. But because Thanos is so relevant right now, and even if Thanos is kind of dropping just a little tiny bit, having a disruption for Rock Slide into a lot of the Surge matchups is really nice too, because it does shuffle the cards, and Surge of course hits the top card in your deck. So this card, I think you just play in Darkhawk. There's an Anti-Venom, Esme Cook, I believe that Derek's been messing with. I think it has Esme in there. It may not, but I know with Anti-Venom, especially gives you just another out to be able to get this card. Because at a 4 cost, it just feels bad. I think Dance and I were talking about this. We wish Rock Slide had been changed back to a 3 cost for at least this season, because, you know, they sometimes just change cards for the new season. But...
And maybe that's what their logic is, with like Esme being able to be that option instead. Yeah. I like this guy. I don't know if I feel like Darkhawk builds are more often to not have him.
Now, and especially with like Grandmaster and stuff, and just Thanos being everywhere.
Exactly, right? And I like the guy, and I think it's especially... I actually hadn't thought about the shout of like Korg and Rockslide shuffling your opponent's deck and making it so that Surge becomes kind of dead, which is maybe another reason why the card is even weaker. But it's... Yeah, I feel like this card is really cool. I think it's awesome. I like it. I like the design. I like how this works. Maybe it should be cheaper. I just feel like that this is it's a little bit of like it's a tighter card to fit because of that 4-cost slot. Because that's you're about to finish the game here, and you're choosing to, and this is your only card you're playing potentially on a turn 4. I don't know. Each turn is so important, especially as you go into the later ones. And Rock Slide oft doesn't feel worth.
Yeah. And I think they're also like the way they've changed Black Widow so many different times and stuff. They don't want necessarily cards that are like anti-fun and combo necessarily offsetting to be too popular. And like Darkhawk metas, so this is going to sound a little crazy though, right? Darkhawk metas might just be, like when it's Darkhawk everywhere, a bit worse than Thanos metas.
I think those are our opinions on the X-Men bounty cards. Let us know what you all run with them. Let's talk about the meta. Let's talk about the meta, because this is this is the easiest segue I've seen, and I will say you're completely correct that being shut down from your gameplay is, I think, so much more fun than you actually being able to, or than your opponent just outpowering you. It's 100 times out of 100, my personal opinion, it's more fun to build up a really big pile of cards than to kick your opponents down. And we have Thanos as the #1 deck.
Yep.
But can we talk about the specific deck that's #1 with Thanos? Because this isn't the one that's full of tech cards. No. It's got, I think, Mobius and Cosmo. That's it. the best version of Thanos is the version that, and this is my okay. You talk with more of the higher ranked people, right? You know this stuff. So and I don't. So I'm gonna defer to you here. My guess for why the Thanos tech card deck is so popular, because it doesn't have as good of a win rate as this one with just the ongoing style build, because I think the ongoing build is actually really fair and I like it a lot. But I think that especially as Higher Infinite, they like being able to have more tools to kick people's sandcastles, to stop other people from winning, and thusly they like to run those all the other cards that the other pile is using, which if you scroll, it's actually a lot further down than I expected, right? Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what
I didn't realize. Oh, that's my deck. Okay. But I think one of the biggest things when it comes to like what you're talking about here is they want to have a bunch of just like options, like you said, but also maybe this is just me, but ongoing is a little boring sometimes. And maybe they're a little bored of just playing ongoing cards opposed to interactive cards. Like you said, the kicking the sandcastle kind of aspect.
I think that's potentially fair. I feel like if you play any deck too often, I feel like it could be definitely seen as boring. I don't think the ongoing Thanos, I don't think I've ever been truly bored by that one because of the stones throwing you off so heavily. But ongoing in general, I definitely can agree. But I feel like ongoing Thanos is the one exception I would give to that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, this version that you have I think this is the deck when I think of the most popular Thanos one. I don't think of the Thanos one that's, ongoing.
Yep.
I think of this one here that has all of those tech cards, which is that, let's see, Alioth, Shang-Chi, Copycat, Red Guardian, Cosmo, Gorgon, and I think there was one more in there. I don't remember. And then, so 6 tech cards in there.
Yep.
It's a vastly different experience. And I don't, and it's funny that even the bigger one, right? Like the Thanos ongoing, I don't think either of these are busted.
Yeah.
I just think tech cards aren't fun.
It's not that Thanos himself is busted. Like, I think it'd be different if like Thanos gave you like old Time Stone. Like old Time Stone, where it was you drew a card that cost 1 less, opposed to it only hitting Thanos. That is more of when this was actually like busted. I think now it's still draw dependent, like, and they're drawing their deck, which I think is what kind of just throws people off. Is they're drawing more cards than me. They're drawing more of their combo pieces than what I have. But like at the end of the day, they're kind of setting themselves up to, if I don't have my stones, I'm in a worser spot. So I think that is definitely something that we got to think about as well. And then Sam Wilson is still just insane, like Sam Wilson overall is just insane at the moment still. And then like, I don't think Strange Supreme's an issue. I don't think Surge is an issue. It's just, there's so many different outs, which is also just what makes Thanos good. Cause maybe they don't have the card in their hand at the moment, but they get an extra draw that next turn because they drew a card with the stone. And then they also get the additional draw. And that's where it just kind of feels bad. But like, we're planning around Thanos, I feel like, more often than not now. And I think every single time we're in this long break of like OTAs and stuff, Thanos is popular. I feel like every single time. I could be wrong, but I feel like Thanos is meta every single time there's an OTA break.
Because it only happens a couple times a year, so you're totally could be correct there. I feel like I'm not going to say for certain one way or another. I just feel the problem is I think it's either Thanos or Airsham. And it's just the fact that people want to be able to fit these cards into different slots. And one of the annoying things with old Thanos, right, was the fact that you could use, like Time Stone, either drew a card that was -1 or gave you +1 energy, and then you would just play Professor X on a other lane. Something like that, right? It's any of this stuff that gives you these extra tools to do those things. And that's one of the reasons why they redesigned Thanos, to make sure that the tools all were designed around him. Every single one of the tools were designed around him. The only one that's not now is the Reality Stone. Because I'm glad it's not still, but that is the only one that's not designed around Thanos. And I feel like that's why people just want to slot these tech cards, all these pieces into this deck because you already have a full deck that Thanos has given you. Thanos gives you himself and 6 other cards. Those are all you need to win with Thanos. All the rest of the cards are fluff in a way, not completely, but I'm being hyperbolic. I don't know. I still don't actually have issue with Thanos, and it's crazy I'm saying that. I just think that something I've said for a while now. Just 15 tech cards aren't fun.
Yeah, because like that's what Airshim used to be. Airshim literally used to be Airshim and then all tech cards, and that's what the issue was. And so like, I don't dislike Mockingbird at all, but Thanos Mockingbird is another beast, and it's because with Sam Wilson, you automatically have the shield on the board. If you play 2 stones between turn 1 and turn 2, you can play Mockingbird out on turn 3. And that is crazy. Being able to play that out without being able to have like a Mobius on the board. Maybe I'm just raging here or something, but like I feel like it's just it's a crazy feel is bad, and it makes the Mockingbird value is just through the roof right now. I really wonder what Mockingbird's win rate is whenever she's just played on the board. 55% win rate average every time Mockingbird. This is Mockingbird on the board. You have about a fourth of a cube. Wow. Okay.
This card they've continually like messed with, right? They've changed it every single time. This one really feels like it feels like it should just be am I crazy for saying 710 at this point?
I remember I said 710 a couple yaps ago, and I know it's been a hot minute. Like I don't hate Mockingbird. I don't think Mockingbird is too crazy, but I wouldn't hate her going up in cost. But her at 10 powers issue is they were referring to the Surtur Scar decks, which now, by the way, I think it would be interesting to see how that would work with Surtur, the way Surtur interacts now into those Scar style decks, because it was Mockingbird, Mysterio, and Sasquatch, and then you just got crazy just Surtur Scar value. I would be interested to see how that works. Also, that does take away from, I guess, I'd say U.S. agent value, but like still U.S. agent's not getting played crazy right now.
Yes, I still think I heard this mentioned forever ago, and I feel like they should just be changed where U.S. agent says he affects all cards that cost 3 or more with -3.
4 or more. 4 or more.
4 or more. My bad.
Yes.
4 or more, and then Man Thing goes 3 or less.
I feel bad for Wasp and Yellow Jacket, but
I know they really. I'm just tired of the Yellow Jacket meta we've been in for months now, right? Second Dinner leaves the second that Yellow Jacket becomes the most meta card. That's really what I'm annoyed with. Oh, this is it's just a QOL thing where I'm just like, I feel like these cards could be hit. I don't know why they aren't, and I feel like those are the two. Maybe U.S. agents less so, but especially inside of even the affliction lists, like you don't run those anymore. Am I incorrect there? I don't feel like those are being run in main affliction lists.
Man Thing, I'm still seeing. I'm not seeing as much U.S. agent.
I believe that. Yeah. I don't.
But Man Thing's being ran so much because Thanos is really relevant, and because Small Ball is really relevant. You're not really seeing as much U.S. agent because of that.
Yeah, and then Luke Cage is just continually the best card and has nothing against him. So who cares, right?
But like we're talking about, these Thanos decks are very popular, and we know people are major feels bad against Thanos. But like if you look at some of these other decks too, Affliction's doing really good right now, and then Move Bounce is still just insane. And it's because they throw priority going into final turn, and then they hit you with a wombo combo. And what Dance has been, begging for us to have in the game is some sort of counter for them just to be able to keep track of what the current power is of these cards, opposed to having to memorize every single thing before it happens. Like the torch.
You're not even talking about the number 5 of the list, by the way, as well, which again has them running their Hydra Stomper.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, there you go. Hydra Stomper, just how am I supposed to know how much Hydra Stomper is power? I haven't been counting every single time the damn Silk moved. Sucks for me. I don't know, like that's just, there's a lot of quality of life stuff, but with the meta, Tuck, they announced a tournament. They're doing an official Marvel Snap tournament here.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard people saying it's gonna be like it's even like themed Thanos, right? It's like the Gauntlet or something like that, I think. But is it gonna be only Thanos because it's called the Golden Gauntlet tournament? There you go. But is it just gonna be only Thanos, or what are we gonna be seeing inside of there? Especially considering it's Conquest, right? Right, because that's what they do for all the stuff. Because they don't have a stupid spectating mode, unless they're dropping one whenever this comes out. But I don't think that they have a patch before, unless I'm missing something here. Mm-mm. They don't have a way for us to track this information here. So I am honestly feeling like I don't know what I'm gonna talk about in terms of like the best decks whenever that stuff comes out. But I honestly am thinking that's the movement one might be one of the best lists for that, because how the hell am I gonna count how much power my opponent has?
No, I think the move bounce is indefinitely going to be one of the top lists in the tournament for sure. So if you guys want to learn something before the tournament, you got about like a week and a half ish. If you guys are able to make it into the tournament as well, I would try and learn this. Of course, Mobius is going to be one of the main counters for said list. If you like are beasting stuff, of course. But because of how unpredictable this is and how many different lines you can mess around with, I think that makes this really popular. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of the tech version of Thanos too, with the Eliaths, with the Cheese, the Shadow Kings and stuff because of that.
Yeah.
I still think this is going to be very popular in the tournament as well. Same with Affliction. So also, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe this is just copium or just a random hot take, but like, I think Super Scroll is going to continue to just improve in value, and people are not playing Super Scroll enough right now. And I think that would help.
The specific surfer list I was talking about earlier with Esme, I ran Rogue because I didn't have surf. I don't want to. You can't really throw Super Scroll inside of a surfer list, but right. Rogue is also just amazing tech. Mm-hmm. And also, I'll say against Thanos, because what if you just steal? I got to steal a Stone, blow it up, or was it? And then draw the card. Then I would play. I had Negasonic in there as well. And blew up the Thanos on final turn.
Rogue stealing Soulstone gives you a draw because it steals the text, right? Good to know.
Same thing as the Mystique Absorb Man from Blob forever ago.
Interesting. So also, if you stole Space Stone, you could also draw a card.
Yep. If you steal Space Stone and Soul Stone. I don't believe any other stone that draws a card has an ongoing, unless I'm forgetting one.
No, those are the only two with ongoing. Yeah. Because Power Stone is just flat, and then Time Stone is just on reveal. Reality is just on reveal, no draw.
Yep. But anyway, so there's a lot of really good stuff there, and I've been really enjoying it. So
have you been messing with this at all? This
is one I actually haven't messed with. I've seen a lot of people messing with this Scarlet Spider Surge pile that's been going around. This one does feel like a lot of fun. I haven't messed with it in the slightest. This is one that I was like, oh, have you touched it? I was thinking this one.
I've lost games to Jeff, actually, recently. Like, Jeff, I'm not expecting my opponent to play Jeff because this card's play rate was so low, and it still is at 4%. I'm not expecting this. I'm like, oh, the only way they win this is if they have Jeff. No one's running Jeff right now. And then they're running Jeff, and I lose. Like, it has been really crazy. And I think it's kind of for Locos in a sense. Because it has, it only has four 4/4 in here with the Galactus, Scarlet Spider, Enchantress, Gwenpool. I know some of them are running Shang-Chi as well, so it's like 5 Locos. But Enchantress is starting to rise more in the meta, and I've been playing some more of these ongoing style lists. So I've been having to snipe Enchantress with Cosmos, which has been also a really good, feels good. But it is very interesting to see Scarlet Spider has increased play rate. Enchantress has increased play rate. I think Scarlet Spider still has a negative win-loss at the moment.
I would agree with that. It's getting you some cubes, but the win rate's still worse. Yeah, Scarlet Spider's still a fun card. It's just still, he has continually proven every single deck that he's good in says, you need this to be a 3 cost.
Yep.
And that's the only way it can be playable.
Talking about 3 costs, Dance,
there's another card in the bounty.
We do have Prodigy, who is going to be in the Snap bounty as well this next week. And I think we might be some of potentially the only people that are kind of high on this card. I know I'm pretty high on this card. Other people think this card is going to be absolute dog water, and it's just not going to be good. And, you know, the conditions for this card are just horrible, and you're never going to be able to meet this card. And, you know, it's like it's another Captain Carter, and Captain Carter was just so bad on release. Captain Carter was a forge cost, and it's just so horrible for this card. But if you guys did not know, Prodigy is a 3-cost, 4-power card on reveal. If this is in the back row, copy the text of the card in front of it. Meaning, if Prodigy is the 3rd card you play into a lane, he copies the text of the very first card in that lane. The first card in that lane is the card that is in the front, furthest to the left. If you play this as the 4th card in the lane, it attaches to the 2nd card in the lane, which would be the furthest right card in the front row. And I feel like the conditions of this definitely can be a little clunky at times, but I think there's a lot of enablers that can allow you to target this more. And I think of Iron Lad as something that I kind of think is similar more to a Prodigy. But the difference is Iron Lad is random because it's the top card in your deck, unless, of course, you're playing Howard the Duck, you know what your top card is. With Prodigy, you have to manage your board space. Of course, you're playing Howard. You have to
always.
You have to manage your board space for Prodigy more, but you can almost guarantee what Prodigy is going to hit. Of course, there is disruption cards that do exist in the game, but Scream's play rate is low. Scream is at a 3% play rate at the moment, which could totally jump up more with Prodigy. But I think you brought up one of the greatest points last week, which I hadn't thought about, and we talked about this past week as well, is Sam Wilson is still an incredibly good card and has a shield that you can move multiple times during a game to be able to set up combos for Prodigy pretty well.
Yeah, I think Sam Wilson's shield in particular has the potential to be, I think, one of the best pieces to use with Prodigy because it lets you set up. The other card I think is going to be really great with it is Kitty Pryde. I think those 2 cards in particular, in terms of setting up what you would like your Prodigy to hit, would be those 2. And I think Prodigy is going to wane or ebb and flow as the meta has more Scream and more anti-movement stuff in there, because that throws off your entire game plan. That would really matter a lot. And if we see more of that come up during the Prodigy week, I'll have to wait and see. But I think it's really cool. I still like this card a lot, and I mean the potential here is it's quite massive. There's a lot of options here, a lot of choices for what you can do, and I'm just stoked. Right, you can do double Surge things, and the more we've talked about it, the list that I have, I might be throwing Surge in instead of one of the cards, but Prodigy looks like an absolutely blast of a card. I'm stoked for this thing. Do we want to talk decks that we have in mind with him?
Yeah, we can talk decks, but I do want to say real quick. So, like, I've heard the argument is like, well, you don't want to play Prodigy on curve. And I want to just say, like, Prodigy is not made to be an on-curve card. Sage is not made to be an on-curve card. Not every single card at their cost is an on-curve card. Are you playing Shang-Chi on curve? Are you playing?
Like, who the hell argues Shang-Chi is an on curve?
Are you playing Shadow King on curve? Like, you don't have to. You set this up. Sometimes you may be like, okay, well, I wasted a turn because I played Prodigy instead of setting up, this combo. Like, I have Galacta already on the board. Why am I not Galacting a card? But it's like you're still setting stuff up for a bigger final turn, which allows you to be able to even get potentially more cube equity because your opponent doesn't necessarily know what's about to happen because you did another setup turn. And I think that's something we're just not really thinking about all too much when it comes to cards like this, is like, this is a wait and see kind of thing. Like, there's other instances. What do you do with, Invisible Woman? Invisible Woman, you're setting stuff up for later game stuff. And I think we're kind of in a concept right now in Snap where we're not doing a lot of setup. And I think that's another thing that's really swaying people's takes on this type of card, is because everything is now. And we're not slowing things down, but like with Move Bounce, you're slowing stuff down to be able to set all your combos up. With Werewolf, you're slowing stuff down. So like everyone's not used to just, boom, I'm slamming power on the board. Just taking that step back. And this is going to be that taking step back card. And one of the greatest examples I saw too is like you tempo out a Red Guardian, and your opponent snaps you because you just played your Red Guardian out, right? But you've tempoed out a Red Guardian because you're going to hit it with a Prodigy later, and you're going to have another Red Guardian to go into that lane. So, like, there's going to be some whiff conditions with this card that will be able to steal you cubes, and I think that's what's going to be really impactful. Like, this is one of those cards that is a steal cube kind of card, kind of like Esme. Oh, I high rolled, I either bluff snap or I snap because I got something really good. So I'm just trying to think of it as that sense, like tournament setting style cards. This could be potentially one of them, and you guys can tell me I'm coping down below. And, you know, this card could perform horribly, but, like, I do genuinely think this is going to be a good card.
I'd agree. I think Prodigy, I mean, there's a lot of upside for Prodigy, but the biggest thing, right, is the downside of, and it's not the on curve bit, the biggest thing is the fact that you're going to have to deal with the specific rows. So I agree. There's a lot of upside here. Is the downside worth it? I don't know.
Right.
And I think I'm excited to mess with that. And, you know, as we both said, this was like one of our top cards we said we were excited for. Even if it's not the best card, I still think the card's awesome. I think it's still really cool, really interesting. And it does something that we haven't really seen, right, since Iron Lad came out. So I like what we have here. I like what this deck or this card is going to be doing. And
your deck.
Yeah. And there you go, right? So this is just one thing with Prodigy, right? This is a Strange Supreme list. And I was actually thinking, I feel like Strange Supreme or Kate could potentially be subbed out for a Surge here, especially as a secondary Prodigy hit. But I think Kitty Pryde's an amazing have in here as well, because, again, you get either option, especially considering you're not typically playing Prodigy on turn 3. You can use that turn 3 to maybe set up with, like, your Hope Summers. Then turn 4, you can play Kitty Pryde and then Prodigy onto that lane, and that's now you've got double Hope, maybe double Galacta. You have a lot of ways to cheat stuff out here, a lot of options, and I feel like this style, you've ways to fill up the board and set up with your Prodigy. A lot of big payoffs at the end as well. Strange Supreme might or might not make it into the final version, but this is where, if I'm looking at, like, what I think might be one of the best places for Prodigy, what don't you want to double hit that you're actually going to be playing early? I guess Mysterio? And I'm okay with that?
So I like this style shell a lot because, like you said, there's a lot of different options. Even potentially hitting an Elsa, getting double Elsa is a major feels good. +6 in a card, I think, is pretty nice.
I would argue that is good rate.
But what I really like about this, and I've made a list similar to this, we're not talking about it today, but the Mysterio aspect of this as well is Mysterio takes up a slot on the board, which allows you to potentially set up some other Prodigy plays. And there's going to be some instances with this style deck, especially with, like, a Mysterio and, like, a Hope Summers, where you are filling a single lane to help your Prodigy, such as you are potentially playing, you know, your Hope into Mysterio. And then, of course, the next turn, you're going to have extra energy, and then you're playing potentially a Prodigy before a Kitty to be able to kind of have just a roll of excess energy. Or even you're playing Mysterio into an Elsa, and then you play Kitty and then Prodigy then copies Elsa because he's in the 4th slot there, and then he moves over to slot 3, and you can play Kitty Pryde. So, like, there's a bunch of different ways you can mess around with Prodigy, and I think what makes Prodigy really cool is Prodigy's ability is copy the text. It doesn't say copy the on reveal. It doesn't say copy the ongoing. It doesn't say copy the activate. It doesn't say copy the flat text. It says copy the entire text. So it can copy any card, almost any card. The only card Prodigy cannot copy is going to be Cosmo, because Cosmo negates on reveal abilities. So you cannot copy
I guess it wouldn't also work with, there's some that just also don't have abilities that would do anything. Yeah. I guess Mysterio is actually one of them as well. I think about that.
Well, I mean, if you're playing Patriot, he copies Mysterio, then he has no ability.
True. There you go. That's the answer.
So, I mean, that's coping him in a half. But
then, you know what? If you're playing Gore, and then you get Prodigy hits a Cosmo, you're still getting value. That's still value. It's still an on reveal. Which, again, yes, it does trigger the on reveal when stuff happens. That's the way the card works. Same thing as Absorb Man. It works the exact same.
And Iron Lad. So, like, I saw someone say, like, well, I activated my symbiote Spider-Man, and then I couldn't use my Lasher again. You just activated the card already, so you can't use an activate again. But, like,
yeah, the card is activated.
You've
hit the nail on the head.
You can copy Prodigy onto an activate. Do not use the activate before, and then you have 2 different activations there. So just keep that in mind.
If you did activate it still before, it would work. Similarly to when you if you had your Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Oh,
right?
I mean, yes, but like if you've activated a card, like if you've not activated Lasher, and you activate your symbiote Spider-Man, you can't then activate the new.
Oh, I'm talking about Prodigy.
Yes,
I'm saying,
yes.
So if you activate Lasher, I'll say this then. If you activate Lasher, and then you play Prodigy on him, Prodigy would still be able to activate. However, once the card, because that's not the same card, right? The card is now different. That's just how activates work. Activates mean each card can only be activated one time, no matter what the activated ability is. But Prodigy is a different card, so even though the activate ability on the other card has been used, he hasn't yet. He has the text. He has the activate, specifying yada yada weird ways things work. Speaking of ways things work, how's your deck work, Tuck?
So, I have Prodigy in an ongoing shell. Because pretty much any card in this list is a good hit for Prodigy. So you can angle this the right way with Sam Wilson's shield. You also, what I really like about this style list too is, Prodigy copying another ability also gives you Moonstone value. So that's really good. But the other bread and butter with this is the Anti-Venom. So Anti-Venom sets the next card you draw to a 0/0. So, thus, you can play that 0/0 into a lane, so you can then play Prodigy onto another one of those cards in the front row to have Prodigy copy potentially a better card in that row, or even copy the 0/0. Like, I'm thinking, maybe I'm just crazy high rolling here, but like 0/0 Spectrum, you play into a lane where you play Luke Cage in the lane or you play Spectrum first, okay? You play Spectrum first in the lane by itself, and it hits the other cards on the board. And then you play Luke Cage in the right beside Spectrum, and then you play Prodigy right behind the Spectrum. Again, that is 2 Spectrums on one turn. I think that's pretty decent. Of course, that's crazy high roll. Or even, you have a Moonstone Prodigy, or you have Mystique in this, Mystique, if Prodigy copies an ongoing card, Mystique can then copy whatever Prodigy copies because Prodigy was the last card played and then takes on an ongoing ability. So I think this is just the rough draft kind of shell I'm thinking with this. But I think there's a lot of just different routes you can take with Prodigy. I think he's going to be great in these ongoing shells, giving you a potential another Goliath enabler or another Goliath. Like, because it can copy any card, there's just so many different routes you can take with this, and I think Sam Wilson, like we have in both of our lists, just really enables that, and I'm using Anti-Venom as another one of those enablers because you have a 0-cost card you can use to take up a board space to help Prodigy hit a better card for you.
Yeah, I feel like, and unfortunately, the only thing I would say with this list is that you just want tech cards. I think you don't have enough here, which is unfortunate, but I feel like a Cosmo would probably needs to be
instead of like a
in
Cap.
this list.
Instead of Cap, you could do Cosmo.
That's what I was thinking. That's literally the only thing, which is unfortunate, right? I'd prefer this with Cap. Like, I like this more, but I look at it, I'm like, you probably want Cosmo or something dumb to kick a sandcastle, but also you have to protect your own sandcastle. So you kind of, it's unfortunate, right? Wait, can we go back to Prodigy screen? I wanted to look at his text again. I forgot something with this. Is it? Okay, no, it's in the back row. So what I was thinking is it just copy the text of the card in front of it? Because then I'm like, can you copy your opponent's card? I just realized that, and you can't.
Yeah, it has to be.
So like
But
if it was in any row, it would work technically. If it was in your like you played that, you could copy your opponent's front row card. I was thinking that for a second, I hadn't realized it, but that's why I asked to see the text before I said anything here. I can't. It's not even a thing. I don't know why I'm now.
He's not Cobra. He doesn't just steal cards from your opponent.
I don't know who that card is. That card isn't in Marvel Snap. Sorry. We've talked about him. I guess is he? I wonder if we still don't know, right? The album's coming out as data mined, or publicly said, in 2 days on Thursday.
Yep.
And Cobra's data mined to be a part of that album. Is it gonna be an 11-card album, or what are they gonna do?
I have no idea. They're gonna shuffle something and just toss something.
Who's the card they toss in? Sorry, this is totally unrelated, but who's the card that they toss in? What card do they use instead of Cobra? It's some other, right? Like Chibi Rian Gonzalez. That's what I think the thing is.
It has to be another like Series 4, Series 5 card because that album is expensive.
Dude, that album's so expensive. I hate the fact that those are so expensive.
Maybe a Mockingbird. They're like, you know what? We love Mockingbird, so we're gonna make a another, or just a Rhea and Mockingbird and throw Mockingbird.
I believe it. God, I wish I didn't, but I easily could believe. The Eliath one is already in one, right?
Yeah.
Trying to see where it would be. I don't have another. Oh, there's a Black Swan. There's a chibi.
It was a bundle, right?
According to a Snapdog fan, it's super rare.
Okay.
General pool.
Cool.
That's it. That's the one. That's if it's a different one. That's my guess. My guess is Black Swan taking that slot instead. I have no proof one way or another, but that's my guess now, based off of nothing concrete.
I don't hate it. But
I do hate it, but
but you know what cards may not be hated, but there's a large variety of cards that just get no love right now, and that people just are not playing. If we're looking first, we're gonna talk about the cards that, of course, are the most popular at the moment. Which I'll zoom in a little bit so we can see a little bit better. Surge is of course in top 50% of Infinite right now, based on when the season started. And Surge
is this based off of the last week, or is it the season?
It's based on the last season because week would start tomorrow. But
yeah,
we have Surge in 50% of decks. Sam Wilson 34, then Chi, Galacta, Mobius, Red Guardian, Cosmo, Zabu, Enchantress, Mockingbird, Thanos.
There you go.
Esme, Wiccan, Sage, Gwenpool, Strange Supreme, Hood, Iron Man Kitty, Nico, Killmonger.
Oh, can I give a hot take? Maybe not even a hot take, but I want to say a balanced thing. I know we're going to talk about like the cards that are truly forgotten, and I don't think this card is.
Okay.
But both Galacta and Gwenpool, I think, need to lose a point of power so that Kaori becomes a viable 4-cost.
So Galacta goes to 4/4. She still is essentially a 4/10.
Especially with, by the way, with how good she is with Surge. I think it's perfectly still fine. And then Gwenpool's also still just like really a good card, I think. I think if you take both of those down a single point of power, I think that because I think it's power creep. I don't think Kaori could get buffed. I think she's too weak. I think if that happens, Kaori is perfectly just like, it's reasonable between these 4 costs that buff stuff.
That'd be interesting. I think Galacta is going from a 4/6 to 4/5. Didn't really, I mean, she lost a point of power, but she's still just insanely good. And then Gwenpool at a 4/5 makes her 4/11. Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Sorry, those aren't what we're actually talking about, but I saw that and I was randomly reminded of stuff.
And then I think
you just got to scroll here. If we're talking about the popularity, right, we're going to go to the least popular cards currently.
All right. So,
oh, it hurts so badly.
So we got Namor. So, what if you give Namor like the Marvel Rivals ability kind of thing, and he throws a squid somewhere on the board that afflicts a card with -1 power?
I think that'd be cool, but honestly, I don't see a world why Orca and Namor, however you want to say it, I don't see a reason why they both aren't on reveal at this point.
On reveal plus because I mean Namora's on reveal.
Yeah.
Okay. They're all just +5, just like the Guardians are all plus.
Done. Yeah, it's just that. It's just that. I think Guardians need to go +5, and a lot of them would still be. I think you just have to nerf. You have to take Rocket down a point. But like these, why are they not on reveal? They have been ongoing for so long, and I get it. You want them to be ongoing. Why? Is it because they're super early cards? Is that the reason that we have to have these crappy cards exist? Are we gonna have to wait for Namor first steps before we can get a good version of Namor?
No, it's Namor Illuminati. That's what it's gonna be.
Oh, dude, I'd be down for an Illuminati version though. Do you think they're gonna do the Illuminati in the Doomsday?
So
they got multiverse stuff. I know they kind of did, right? Doctor Strange, but like,
well, I mean, I don't really want to talk spoilers.
Cast, you can
just if you guys have seen Brave New World, look into the end credit scene a bit more, because they're hinting at someone other than what we're thinking. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got an Illuminati season at some point in the future. That's what I'm gonna say.
That would be fun. That would be very fun. Anyway,
but that would be sick.
Yes, you could do a different thing entirely, right? Like I think that'd be fine. But I also just think that I just think this just needs to be an on reveal. I don't get it why it's not.
Would it
You
still
can
be
knock
plus
each of them
5
down
or
a
plus
point of
4?
power. I think maybe you knock each of them down a point of power base and you go on reveal.
Okay.
615 for Orca is still insane. Maybe he goes to 6-9, honestly, still. Because he
Mhm.
was that at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go Namor to a 4-5.
I'm cool with it being on reveal. It goes with like
that's
the
the
synergies.
exact same as like Crossbones stuff, right? Crossbones
Yep.
requires you to be winning this location. Namor requires you to have no cards there by turn 4. Like, maybe it's easier, but
on reveal, no cards here. Like you keep that narrative.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's plus 5 power if this is your only card here.
Yes. No, I like that.
That's what the text would be. Yeah.
Because Galactus is the same way. If this is your only card here, this interaction happens. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's weird that Galactus has to agree with Atlantis for their abilities to work correctly, but that's how this feels like these cards need to be. I don't think they can be ongoing. I don't think that's a thing anymore. Like that's not. I say anymore. They haven't been a thing really.
Yeah. No. I'm here for that. I'm here for Guardians getting plus 5. Drax can stay a 4/5 and you get plus 5.
Yeah.
But Rocket.
The only one that would have to get hit down would be Rocket, right? Because it's just good in bounce is why it would be a problem.
Do we change Star-Lord to a 2/1?
How much is Star-Lord being used? I don't see him for a second. Maybe. You know what? I don't remember the last time. No, he's still pretty garbage. The only one I'd say is Rocket. I would say only Rocket. He's only bested by who is he bested by again? Sorry, I scroll past this immediately as soon as I got to it. Omega Red and Mojo are next to him. Yeah.
Okay. All right. 2/7, but like he
fine.
still has to. I mean, I think
it's a tough thing to hit.
Medusa is plus 4 middle location. Make that happen.
I already said that's what I said.
Yep. Spider-Woman.
Spider-Woman, 4 cost -2. Go to a 4/4 even.
Okay. 4/4 -2.
Mm-hmm. I think that would be something closer to that. Although I also will say, I really would like to see, if we're gonna talk about the other ones here, saying Colossus. I don't think they can fully. I don't think you can change Colossus, especially considering they want him to be an earlier game card.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like a card that should be 5/9, 5/10. Maybe even like honestly, make Colossus a 6/11. You just can't destroy it, right? Like, imagine just knowing that this card, like, you're fine pretty much. You can't be Shang-Chi'd. This can't go anywhere, and that's just. It doesn't make sense as a 3 cost. The guy is like massive. Or 3 power, sorry.
That'd be interesting.
Is it still sucky? Maybe.
Or like,
but right, like, you need a reason for him to be not destroyed. That right now it is 2/3. There's no reason. Lady Deathstrike isn't really a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Shang-Chi is a thing. Make the card that is early game a card that is an answer to Shang-Chi. Doesn't even have to be answer, right? But like, this would work against Shang-Chi. Give us just a direct, not Shang-Chi-able big card. This would be it.
That would be interesting. I was thinking something. This is probably not even close to what like Colossus is as a character. Like, and I think this is just weird, but like, it came to mind.
Hey, I love weird.
I was like, what if Colossus also had like the ability whenever this is afflicted with negative power, it gets +2. Like, I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like, it doesn't pertain to Colossus. It just something that just came to mind. I was like, so you hit this with a hazmat.
It works with the power reduced. It's kind of similar to what they have with Wolverine right now. I don't think that'd be bad either, honestly.
Like, so whenever you try to hazmat it, it actually gains 2 points of power. If you try to Man-Thing it, it gains 2 points of power. It would be interesting, but but
is it permanently loses power or just gains power? Or like loses power in general? Because then it's like, whenever this, or you know what? What if just Colossus was 2/2 when this would lose power? This gains that much power instead.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool, but
right?
Who knows? From a fundamental,
it's a different version.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't work thematically as well. It kind of it goes based off his current ability more so than the other stuff there. But yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. And for what it's worth, if you scroll up a little bit here. 2 more Guardians that need that +5, I think.
Gamora.
I'd be down still. It's 13, 5-13.
What would you do to Ghost? Would you make Ghost a 2-3 or a 2-4?
I don't think this ability... How to say this correctly? I think this ability is as good as it's ever going to be.
What if you make Ghost a disruption card, and instead of like a super giant, whichever cards your opponent played on this lane do not reveal this turn?
That could be cool. Yeah, I think that's helpful for your opponent oftentimes as well, with like a Shang-Chi or something.
But like, so you're they don't know like how Ghost is working so far. So like you're playing it impromptu. Like think of like a Juggernaut kind of thing, opposed
Got it. So
to
it's meant to be like a Juggernaut thing.
Yeah, like a Juggernaut or like a Guardians card. A card has to be played here for this to happen, but it could be a combo potential break thing. Like you're playing your Ghost now to set up yourself for a bit later. Like something in that aspect. I don't know. It's just different.
I don't mind it. I have no idea. I don't have any actual input because I have no idea how good it would be.
Right.
Or how bad it would be. But right, like my only thought on Ghost is actually, I don't think like this ability is as good as it's ever going to be.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. Here's the thing. I think there's also a legitimate world where the ability might be fine.
Oh, she's just not getting played right now.
Yeah, and I think she's just potentially not getting played. But also when she is played, she's played in lists that use her very well.
Right. That's true.
So it's kind of like in comparison to, Groot. When Groot's being played, he's not being played in lists that use him well. He's just not good. So I think it's just like, that's where I would kind of draw the line between those. It's like, yes, this isn't really popular. I don't really know if there's a way it could be more popular and not be sucky.
That's true.
I don't know, but I also don't hate your idea. There are a lot. Yeah, it's very. It's almost like this game has a lot of depth and complexity into it.
Yeah.
Right. It's crazy.
Well, Punisher.
Do the Mr. Fantastic treatment. Make him a 3/1 +2.
Sure, I'm here for it. Mantis.
Do the. Oh, they haven't done it. Do what they're gonna do with Kang. Just delete it. This card isn't good.
I think Jessica Jones just isn't getting played right now, but as is, she's.
It would. Legitimately, I'm gonna answer on the Mantis bit. It needs to. You'd have to give a buff to the card that you get. That would have to be. I think you
like
need to
Mirage,
make that card
like
even,
the Mirage aspect. Give it like
exactly Mirage. Has to be a Mirage style of bonus there. Otherwise, I don't see a way that could be playable.
Baron Mordo. What if it costs 6
Baron.
indefinitely?
It sucks, but maybe it's fine. I don't know. As we start, we're getting out of the ones that I feel like are a lot easier to mess with. White Widow's one I could say though, like just let the card get destroyed at the end of the turn.
Yes.
Like that, like just,
end of turn instead of beginning of turn.
Yep. Or just what is it? For the Widow's Kiss we're saying, by the way, not for White Widow.
Rescue, make her +6, not +5.
Yeah, let her be. Put her in that Shang-Chi-able range.
Yep. Helicarrier.
Helicarrier, I'll say that I think similarly to Dakin, we can say that the card is weak, but I think that the card just needs more ways to use it.
Yes. What if, like, whenever this card is discarded or destroyed, you add cards to your hand?
Maybe, but destroyed feels weird because why would it be a six cost that gets destroyed?
But like, what if you make it?
If you make it cheaper, maybe it's fine too, and maybe that's just enough to make it okay. But also, then you can't really have Lady Sif and it's gonna be fighting between that and your Apocalypse. So yes, but
I don't know. This card just not need any change. Yellow Jacket.
Yellow Jacket is the only one I probably would have any other input looking further up in these. Yellow Jacket probably is the last one where I think I said it a few weeks ago, where it's just like make it a ongoing ability and give it a point of power.
Yeah. Omega Red.
I don't know. Card's honestly fine, even though it doesn't have good. Like it's not. I know I'm saying dumb, but I feel like it is still okay.
Yeah, it's just
maybe I'm wrong there entirely. It's just like I like the card. I think it's cool. I just don't think it's playable right now.
Make
played a lot.
3/2.
Then you know what you're saying, Tuck? You're saying that Second Dinner has a problem with cards that cost 4 and 5 cost, and they said that recently inside of one of their OTAs, and I would agree with that statement.
Give yourself another ongoing 3-cost card that gets benefits from Surfer, and think of synergy with Captain Carter.
I don't hate it. I don't know if it's needed, but I don't hate it.
It's kind of crazy, but Starlight, we're talking about Mojo.
This is one that again I kind of argue is like fine where it is. I don't know. It's kind of similar to what I say with Ghost.
Yeah. Thaddeus Ross.
Don't like the card. Probably can get a point of power and be fine still.
Rhino.
I'm glad he got changed. I don't know if there's anything else they can do right now with him.
Why is his ability? I mean, I guess it was Strange Supreme week, but I'm gonna add a rock to my side of this location.
It's just the fact that he like destroys stuff, and then you're getting basically the debris, the rock that's left over, right? That's meant to be the thematics here.
No, I mean, like
I love the fact that they were willing to take the swing. This is an awesome swing. I don't think it's done what they wanted it to do, and I don't know what it needs to do in order for it to work that way, right? But like,
no. Leech.
Yeah. Probably make it a 7-cost card.
Just don't do anything to this card. Let
it don't touch it. It's I suppose that has a 100% win rate in the game that it's being played.
It's been played probably in one game and they won 4 cubes.
Yeah, they got 4 cubes, called it there, and you know what? No, it's got more. It's got more percent play. It's got 0.1. So someone's doing really well with Leech decks, and you know what? Perfect. That's about it. That's all I want to see on it. No, we don't need to find the deck. We don't need to know what this is. That's enough information on Leech, I think.
Okay.
My personal opinion. I don't know. There's a lot of cards I feel like that are in this whole group where like, yes, I'd like to see them touch them. I'd like to see them buff it up a little bit. But I really don't think that there's a lot of stuff they can do in particular in order to make these cards like, to put them in the correct balancing state. A lot of them, especially like the lower we get, I feel like there's a reason why they're down there in this low state. I feel like there's a reason why they aren't as strong. It's because second dinners try to figure out what they can do with them, tried to mess with these things, and they haven't found something that is clean and concrete. And then they're stuck with something like Rhino, which even after a buff, a change isn't still great.
So, what if you made Spider-Man 2099 a 5/8, and then each time it moves, you can destroy a card?
I've said it shouldn't. I mean, I don't. It may be busted each time it moves. I don't know. I'd like to see the world that exists in Second Dinner.
Because I can't Topaz this and then Heimdall it.
God, I hate that though, but I also think it could be fair. I don't even make it just like target the strongest thing. I don't care. I think that'd be a better change potentially than doing multiple. There's probably a reason why they don't have it do it many times.
Yeah, no, there definitely
is. And as much as I'd be okay with it, there's probably a reason, and I think the thing then just let it be better at what it does.
Gilgamesh is low right now. I guess people aren't really playing a lot of Zoo or Gilgamesh.
Yeah,
Zoo.
Yeah, Zoo's always a archetype that I think is pretty consistently solid.
Marvel Boy.
Goose is one I think should get a point of power, by the way.
Goose goes to 2/3.
I think Goose should be 2/3. Or you make it so you can't put 3-cost cards there as well.
Oh. That would be interesting.
Have your cheap cards, that's it.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Doing 2099, I saw Alex and Cozy were talking about this card being potentially good with Prodigy as well. Because
I could see that.
Takes up board space for you too to be able to optimize maybe. And Pure Hulkling, I think, is okay. Valkyrie, Baku.
Yeah. I don't get why they're scared of Valkyrie being a 4-cost if Shang-Chi exists. It truly doesn't make sense to me. Like, they're like, well, Shang-Chi's the de facto answer, right? Why can't we try Valkyrie? Why can't Valkyrie be that answer too? Like, right? Is it going to be played as much as Shang-Chi? Maybe, but if that's a problem, why isn't Shang-Chi anyway?
Now we're getting into just some cards just aren't played right now. This, of course, is post-Infinite we're looking at right now too, opposed to pre-Infinite, which, post-Infinite, people are trying to play like the best kind of stuff. So we got to keep that in mind respectively. And in the past week, Whereas like we have Surtur in this list and 0.6% of games, but pretty high win rate.
Well, you're saying best of the best, and I did just see Nick Fury there above the number 1 card in the game, Drax. So I don't know what we're talking about. Nick Fury above Uatu. Uatu's insane. I don't know why in the world they would have that change.
Uatu's actually on one of the highest winning Thanos decks right now.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
Oh god, it has Kang too.
Yeah.
God, that's atrocious.
It's winning though.
That doesn't. I stand by what I said. That doesn't mean it's not atrocious. I do believe though that it's probably doing well. God, but oh, it hurts. That hurts.
It's just so funny. But you know what's like not funny, but like actually really sick?
You jerk. I was gonna do it. I was gonna do it.
Dance is channel, whether it is Twitch, whether it is YouTube, whether it is Twitter, which all those links are going to be down in the description below, is where you guys can have an absolutely amazing time, whether it is watching his content, reading his content, hopefully following and subscribing to his content as well. I think you guys will have an indefinite fun time, whether it is the snapping, whether it is the yapping, whether it is the sussiness that Dance do be providing sometimes. Definitely check out all of Dance's content, which will be down in the description below. He is my friend, and he is soon to be your friend if you guys are not following him or subscribed to him on other platforms.
But thankfully, you guys are already here, right? You're already on youtube.com/@Tucker, TUCCRR, and that's where you should be subscribed to. It's what you should be liking. It's what you should be commenting down below. You should be sharing his videos, y'all. You should be making sure that his content, some of the best content out there, is being received by as many people as you know, because every single time I watch one of Tucker's videos, I'm blessed. So if y'all want to get blessed, y'all want to have a great time, make sure you're following him over on YouTube, watching all of his uploads. Make sure you're following him on his Twitch, same handle. Follow him on his Twitter, same handle. Follow him on his TikTok. It's actually different. No, I'm joking. Same handle everywhere, y'all. Same exact handle. My man is an absolutely great individual, awesome guy who puts out a lot of really great content, more content than I put out, and probably I should put out more content, but he's really good at what he does, and absolutely someone who it's just always a good time when I'm watching him. So make sure you're following him, subscribe to him every single place that you can.
And let us know down below if there's any cards that you guys think need a lot of love, or if you guys hated some of our takes. Let us know down below. We're always down for some improvement, even if our takes may have been just absolutely amazing and you didn't hate any of the takes at all. Please let us know if you love some of our takes. But we do really appreciate it. We really hope that you guys sign up for this tournament. Like for real, it's the first ever Marvel Snap tournament. Not everyone, of course, is going to be selected, but they did just announce the link down in Discord. I'm also gonna have the link down in the description of this video for you to sign up for as well. And also check out the Crown this weekend as well. That info will be down in the description below. Dance and I will both be casting. Unfortunately, we won't be casting together because they didn't want us to be spearheading and going crazy and yapping too much during the casting. But we are going to be casting the tournament, I think, a little bit at separate times, but over the course of this weekend as well. So if you guys aren't signed up for that, it's going to be hosted by Power On the Power On Twitch channel as well. That info will be down in the description below. But we really do appreciate you guys watching, hanging out with us. Let us know. Do you guys want to see a live yap soon? Because maybe we could make something like that happen. But until next time, it's been real. God bless and laters.